Well, hello again. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but we're going to make it as long as we can and try to make a little more progress than what's been going on. I'm really not satisfied with the progress that's been made. I mean, I'm doing everything right. At least I think I'm doing everything right, and it's still not working. So, but before we start on, further work on this, I want to cover two things. One, one of our commenters said, John, this spring right here on this tone arm, this micro switch that I showed everybody last time, I hadn't noticed this. I'm glad somebody did. It looked like it was normal to me to be hooked right there. It doesn't go there. This spring needs to be slid up this shaft and put in that little hook right there. See that little hook right there? Well, I went ahead and adjusted this. And when I read that comment that said this thing needs to go up there and be put in that hook, the first thing I said was, oh man, I'm going to have to loosen that thing back up and put it back where it was. And sure enough, the next day, or later that night, can't remember which, Harry Hall, our good old jukebox repairman, he mentioned the same thing. He said, if you put that up there, you're going to have to readjust this. I said, and I was thinking, hey, that's pretty good, John. You actually knew you had to do that. And Harry verified it. So I appreciate that, both of you guys. All right, one more thing I want to talk to you about. I want to remind everybody, that I still have not fallen off the turnip truck yesterday. You all have to understand that. Several of you said, well, what you need to do is do it in order from 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, no kidding. That's exactly what I've been doing. This is the very beginning of the Select-O-Matic adjustment procedure. Even Brendan, my electronics mentor, didn't realize I was starting from the very beginning. Kind of surprises me. Okay, this tells all about it, what the different parts are and all that. Then it goes right into the clutch 1, clutch lifting adjustment. And then the next page, once you get done with all those adjustments, it goes into clutch 2. And then you move on down the page to clutch 3, and then clutch 4. That's exactly what I've been doing, guys. I know this, Then we have the trip solenoid adjustment, which is here, and that'll be done later. And then, of course, we move into the safety lever. We're going right down it page by page by page. So fear not, guys. I'm not that dumb, okay? I know I just didn't take a screwdriver and start sticking it in there and adjusting different screws. No, I'm going by the book, page by page. So everybody relax. Relax. I'm doing it like that, exactly the way the book says to do it. Unfortunately, when I get done, it's not working. Well, one of our subscribers said, well, your problem is probably that clutch. It's probably too tight against this gear or something like that. And he's probably right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back through the entire procedure, clutch 1, 2, 3, and 4, one more time, and see if I can't get this thing to crack loose and maybe figure out what I did wrong. I had to have done something wrong. I mean, I've got the, I know how to just, do the scan and the play notch now, set it on this arm, this clutch arm here, I guess is what it's called, release arm. And one other thing, this is for Harry Hall. I want to make sure he and I are in sync here on various terms. I kept calling this the trip lever, this little thing here. He says that's really not the trip lever. If I'm right, Harry, Harry's been calling this the release lever. The trip lever is actually the trip switch is actually that thing right there that goes up when you raise the release lever, okay? It goes up and pulls this up. But I don't think it's pulling it up like it should. I'm not sure. I haven't got to that part for adjusting, but I will. It seems to me that there was something about this has to be lower down than what I'm seeing right there. It has to be, a certain amount of clearance there, and I think that needs to be adjusted. But first, we want to finish up with the clutch 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that order. So rest assured, guys, I understand you're out. You're trying to help and all. And your intents are good, but give me some credit, okay? All right, so here's the plan of the day. Plan of the day. For those of you who have been in the Navy, you know what that is, the plan of the day. What we're going to do is I'm going to go through the procedure one more time from beginning to end. I might even go ahead and do the trip lever adjustment as well, or the trip solenoid adjustment as well. and then see if it works. Now, if it does not work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this thing aside for a while, because that's what's going to be needed. I need to clear my head from this thing. I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to get me a radio up here, and I'm going to restore a radio. I need to restore a couple of radios because I owe people some things, and I'm going to tell you one of the guys I want you to know about. It's important that the other day I went and had my teeth cleaned, and the lady that cleans my teeth, she's been cleaning them for 20 years. Or you've seen her in a YouTube video of mine a while back, for those of you who watch my videos. And she said, "John, you need to have a cap replaced. It's worn out." I said, "Okay, fine." You know, every time I go there, she tells me I got to have something done after I get to cleaning. Anyway, I went to my dentist, and I walked in. I said, "Hey, I need to have you look at this cap." He said, "Yep." He said, "That cap is worn out. It needs to go." And he says, "It's got a little bit of decay underneath the edge too. I got to grind that out and get rid of it. And we'll make you a whole new cap. We'll get you all squared away." I said, "Well, okay. Knock yourself out, Doc." He said, "But I want you to know I'm going to do this for free." I said, "What do you mean you're going to do it for free?" I said, "I don't need it done for free." He said, No. He said, "I'm in a position now. You've been my patient for over 20 years. He says, I want to pay you back for your loyalty." He said, "I want to pay forward a little bit for me." He said, he says, "Not charity. I'm not giving you charity here." He says, I'm doing it because I want to do it. It needs to be done. I need to pay forward, and I want to pay you back for some of your loyalty." He said, "Your entire family. I'm the dentist of your entire family." Well, you know, I said, "I don't know, Doc. I don't know about it." He said, No, I want you to do it." And I said, "Well," I didn't want to hurt the guy's feelings, you know. I mean, he's staring me right in the face. I'm staring him in the face. I said, "I got the money to handle this. Stop worrying." He said, "It doesn't matter if you have the money." He said, I want to do it. He said, "Just let me do it." Meanwhile, his dental assistant, she's over there shaking her head. "Yes, you're up there, up there, up there." I said, okay. I'll let you do it for free. And later on, I told the dental assistant when we were alone, I said, "There's ways to pay him back for this, trust me." She said, "I know you. You'll figure out a way." I said, "I already have." Anyway, he did the job. He gave me a brand new cap. Cost me nothing. I walked out. And what I think I should do in return for his generosity, his thoughtfulness, I think I should restore a radio for him and give it to him as a gift. I think he would really appreciate it. He's just such a great dentist, such a great guy. I think if I walk in there and say, "Here, this is your radio. It's all repaired, restored, good to go. This is me paying forward to you too." Anyway, and there's one other way I plan to pay forward also. So that's what's going on with me wanting to, get a radio on the bench. Plus, I need to clear my mind of this. Once sometimes you get away from something for a while and then you come back, and boom, everything just pops right in, pop, 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 and everything starts working great. So let's see what happens. That's the plan of the day. That's the plan of the day. Okay, let's get started. Alright, the spring, which is right here, is back up on top of the hook where it's supposed to be. It's just a matter of sliding it up that rod and hooking it over that thing. It won't go anywhere. I don't know if I knocked that off or it was like that when I first got it. I can't remember. And I went ahead and loosened up this screw and adjusted this thing back to the approximate position it was at. There's a procedure for doing all this, an adjustment procedure in the book. We'll get to that eventually, step by step. But just to show you what happens here now when the function of this thing right here, this little micro switch that I showed you in the last video, when the tone arm goes all the way in, like so, the record comes up and it starts playing, and the pickup arm goes in. When it gets to the end, this little micro switch makes contact, and it tells the machine that, the record's over. And then eventually, a few things happen once the micro switch is made and the record is put back in the rack, and then it begins its scan for the next record, or it just shuts down. It goes to the very end of the carriage plate here, and it shuts down, waits for the next guy to come in and put some money. So let's see if it's going to work at least a little bit. Right now it's in this position. Kind of back up here, let it give you an idea of what we're doing. The record arm, let's keep watching the record now. The record arm goes in the way I've got it right now. Keep in mind, it does need to be readjusted. Let me get this light out of here. We don't quite need that much light. The record arm goes in, and when it gets to a certain point, there it is. It's made, okay? Now, that may or may not be the correct point. We'll find out later when we do the adjustment, which I think also includes these two screws. I'll be adjusting probably that Allen screw one more time right here, and we're probably going to be adjusting these two. There may be even a third adjustment somewhere. I don't know. Maybe this mess down in here. There may be a screw head that needs to be adjusted somewhere. I'm not going to worry about it. We'll worry about it when the time comes. Let's move on. The first procedure, clutch 1 on the lifting adjustment, requires that I loosen the lock nut and turn the screw all the way down, which is right here, which is right there. Okay, now I've already got it down from the last adjustment I did. Should be in the right position. And then after you unscrew the lock nut right here, you unscrew the lock nut, then you screw the other one all the way down. The purpose of that is they want you to clear this bar. They don't want that bar, when it snaps down into this notch, when that roller goes down into that notch, they don't want that bar to be stopped by this thing if it's misaligned or misadjusted. Otherwise, the roller will only go in like half the way. You don't want that. So they want that thing rolled down to clear that bar completely. And once it drops down in there, then of course you bring it back up to where it barely touches the bottom. Again, in the scan position. That notch right there is our scan notch that I'm, let me get the flashlight here, that I'm going to bring around. This procedure does require it to be in the scan notch. Now you see how deep, I don't know if you can see how deep that is. Hard to see in the light. Let me see if I can go in a little further here. That is really a deep, deep notch. That's your scan notch, okay? Goes way down in there. Whereas the play notch is only about 2/3 of that. This notch here, they don't show it in the drawing, but it's almost down to the, it's so deep it's almost down to the center shaft of the cam. But they don't show you that in the drawing, see, they just show it as being deeper. When in fact, what we really have here is this thing is actually probably about like that. Pretty deep. Okay, that's how deep that baby is. Back in there you can see the play notch, see it? Just to the right of that spring. See, it's not so deep. Pretty shallow little thing. I only went through all this pain and agony of turning this thing all the way around to show you the difference between the play and the scan notch. We don't want the play notch right now. We want the scan notch. We're going to keep on rocking and rolling past this one and keep going till the scan notch comes up a second time. Oh, what I sacrificed for you guys. Alright folks, we have the scan notch coming up, and you're going to hear that roller drop down in. There it goes. Okay, it is now bottomed out in the scan notch. Everything is done so far on this, you know, the rest of this stuff, 2, 3, and 4 are really easy adjustments. This is the most complicated of all. But what we're supposed to do now is, after we have everything done, you know, the scan notch is up and the roller's in it, we have to go around to the back of the unit and make sure that now this is actually your clutch. See this square thing right here? And this is all one piece, and it goes up and down. And as it goes up, it engages with this pin on this shaft, comes down, and it engages with a second pin on that shaft, along with a sprocket pin at the bottom. Now this is a sprocket, it's got gear teeth on it, okay? So these two are supposed to be together. This thing is supposed to be all the way down to clutch. Remember, this is your clutch. But this top half and bottom half, all one piece. This clutch comes down, and these two pins are supposed to be together. Let's see if that's the case. We gotta go around to the back and take a look. Here we are at the back. In order to make that determination as to whether those two pins are together, we have to look down through this hole, because your clutch is behind this bar here. Remember that piece, that one piece, it goes up and down. Let's shine the light out and see if we have two pins together. Lo and behold, it looks like we do. We have the sprocket pin on the bottom, and that round pin on the top, and they're nose to nose. See it? All right, so far so good. All right, once everything is good and everything, you're supposed to go back and then go ahead and readjust this top thing all the way up till it barely hits the bottom of your clutch lifting arm. This is your clutch lifting arm. Anyway, it's good to go. We're just barely up there, barely touching. And this roller is still down in the scan notch all the way. Let's go to the next step in the procedure. Alright, I hope all of you doubting Thomases are paying attention to what we're doing here. Okay, clutch number 2, sprocket clearance and detenting adjustment. What we're supposed to do is we're supposed to leave it in the scan mode, which it is. It's in the scan. That little thing is still down that scan notch. And then we're supposed to unlock 3 lock nuts on clutch 2, 3, and 4, which are these 3 right here. And then once we unlock those nuts, we're supposed to unscrew those screws all the way out as far as they go. So let's go ahead and get that done. Those 3. Now here are those 3. 1, 2, these 3 here. This one, and this one. I'm going to unlock those lock nuts and I'm going to screw this thing all the way out, each one of them. Let's get that done. Alright, this is the next step. It says I'm supposed to take this shaft and rotate it on this motor until the tooth down in here, there's a tooth down in here. Let me get over here, I'll show you the tooth. It's a gear. You see the gear down in there? That sharp pointed tooth is supposed to rotate around counterclockwise until it lines up, till the point of that tooth lines up with the roller that's down underneath here. You can't see it, but this is the shaft of the roller. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's a tooth to the left, see it? There's also one to the right, and the one in the center is lined up exactly with that roller. Piece of cake on that. Let's see what the next step is. The next step is I'm supposed to take my finger and hold this bar in with my finger like that, pressing that roller against the high point on that sprocket tooth. Hold it in with my finger. Screw this thing in all the way, slowly, a bit at a time, until this play is removed. And once it's removed, now, you know, not real tight, but once that play is taken up, then you back this screw off 2 full turns and then lock the nut. And that's what I'm going to do next. The last, actually the last 2 adjustments on this thing require that I have to rotate it all the way around again out of the scan position. I now have to rotate that lobe all the way around using my finger with the shaft on the motor here. I've got to do that until I get it into the play position. This is the hardest part about this, you know. You would have thought that you know, Seeburg would have had a shaft come all the way up through the top here, where he could have just taken a socket, you know, and hooked to it and just turned that motor. Would have been a whole lot easier than what the heck we're doing now. But I guess they figured they didn't have to do it all that much. All right, let me spin it all the way around till we get to the play notch. All right, we're almost ready for the play position. It's about ready to drop down in the notch. There it goes. Okay, it is now in the play position. Alright, you're supposed to have the upper pin down in this slot a little bit, the lower pin up in this slot a little bit of the clutch, and this little sprocket pin here and this sprocket pin here should be clear of the clutch, top and bottom. And that's exactly what we have. So far, so good. See it? You can make that out. I see the top pin, and there is the bottom pin, and neither one of them are engaged with the sprocket pins. I know that's difficult to see, but you're good to go, top and bottom. Alright, what's next? The next step is, you know, you've got this side-to-side motion like this, okay? And it causes the gear down there to turn when it does. What we have to do now is adjust this screw right here, downward. No, is it that one? Yeah, we have to adjust this one downward, and while we're rocking this thing left and right with our hand until all that rocking motion is gone. What's going to happen is that screw's going down. It's going to cause this thing here to go down and create a space there. So I'll need both hands to do that. I'm just going to gently rock and while I'm screwing this down. And once the play is all gone, then I'm going to go ahead and tighten up that nut. Alright, it's still rocking back and forth just a tad. So I'm going to let you see me do the final tweaks on it. See the space that's been created already? And bring it on down here. Bring it on down a little bit. Let's see if we got any more rocking motion. Just a little bit. Take it down just a little bit more. Let's see what we got now. Okay, it's all gone. Alright, now we'll go ahead and tighten up that nut. The last adjustment will be this third screw right here. Now this is number 4, clutch number 4 adjustment screw. We're going to screw it in, but we're going to be looking through this hole right here at the clutch and the worm pin. Now remember, the clutch is this mechanism right here, this whole thing. Now this is the worm pin. I'm going to be looking at the top of the clutch and the bottom of that worm pin. And what we need is about a 1/64 of an inch clearance between those two. It's a very, very, just no more than a couple sheets of paper difference between the bottom of this pin, the worm pin, and the top of the clutch. And I'm going to be peering. I can see both of them. And if you'll notice right here, it's at an angle. It's at an angle to the front where I'm staring at it also when I look in. So it looks like we're pretty good to go so far. So let me go ahead and screw this in while I'm shining a flashlight up in that hole and kind of eyeball about a 1/64 of an inch. And 1/64 of an inch, by the way, they give you a little scale to go by here, so you can pretty much tell. Let's see if I can zero in there. You can pretty much tell how much a 1/64 is. It's very, very tiny, very, very small. Okay, like the first line there, very small. Well, that's it, guys. We are all done. The next thing we'll do is the trip solenoid position setting. I'll do that later. Right now I want to see this thing move back and forth. Now if I turn it on and it goes click, 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 what that means is I need to back off this screw right here, because that worm gear, what would be happening is this worm pin going around was hitting this clutch. You know, you're supposed to have that 1/64 of an inch clearance right there. If it's too tight, I eyeballed it. It looks pretty good. But I know what a 1/64 inch space pretty much looks like. If it goes around and around and it's hitting this thing right here, it'll go click, 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 click. I'll have to back that screw off, I think, just a little bit to give me a little bit more clearance to keep that from happening. All right, let's go ahead and fire it up. Now I've showed you the exact thing that I have been doing. All right, if it doesn't work again, then it's going to be radio time. Now I can't think of anything you guys could tell me that I've been doing wrong, but if it doesn't work, I'm open for suggestions. But I won't be implementing the suggestions till later on, because we're going to go work on radios for a while. I need a break from it, so let's turn it on and see what happens. Alright, she's plugged in. Let's go ahead and hit the switch. And then it's in the play position. Let's see if we can get her to go with a little bit of a scan switch. Something's happening. Not much. Oh my goodness, look at there. She is going to take off. Huh! I must have had one of the screws adjusted too tight or something. Let's try it again. Nothing's happening. Let's flip this up. See what happens. Well, nothing again. She was doing good for a while, and then I'm going to play with it for a couple more minutes, and if it doesn't work, that's it. We're done. Till next time. Alright, what was happening here is it's jamming up at this end of the track, of the toothed gear track here. And you can see that it wiggles left and right. Now underneath here is a spring-loaded affair that has an adjustment on the left and an adjustment on the right that presses against this thing and gives it equal pressure so it won't jam up like that. I'm going to have to readjust those. But right now I think it's working good. It just comes up to the one end of the track and jams, and it's not supposed to do that. I need to get this baby lined up. Get it lined out, as they say. Alright, so far so good. I think we'll go ahead and cut this video off here. It's been one of those super long jobbies. But that's what I've been doing all along. I probably put maybe a little bit too much pressure here. Or maybe because of this right here not being equal pressure on those two springs underneath that keep it even on the track so it doesn't, you know, go down cockeyed like this. That may have been the problem. So anyway, let's cut it off here. I'm still going to have to work on that radio, guys, so I may have to wind up working on the radio and then in between, you know, working on the jukebox. But we've made tremendous progress here today. At least it's going back and forth, and I know what's causing that, I think. Until next time, this is John.